So, good evening, folks. I haven't been out for a week or two, so I've decided to get out and try a new patch. Actually, my favourite bird is a barn owl, and this is a great location for them. Just led to believe recently there was a pair here, and they reared 3 chicks, 3 owlets, which all successfully fledged. Unfortunately, one was picked up recently. Unfortunately, got hit by a car. So the mortality rate in barn owls is relatively high, especially with bad winters, wet weather, lack of prey, and also unfortunately low-lying hedges. They come a cropper, unfortunately, by getting hit by traffic. So generally, the survival rate is pretty low. So this spot here is a particularly quiet place. Got lots and lots of long grass, just the right hand side of the Land Rover here, just to your left. And I've parked up, as you can see, you just see fluttering around. I've got a cam net which is stretched pretty much halfway round the landy. I'm going to be sitting in the front there. I'm going to have the lens mounted with the camera onto the side of the driver's side. I've got a thing called an ergo rest, which I'll probably show you a little bit later on, which allows me to pop my tripod head on. This is a Wimberley head, so that goes onto a mount, and that fixes onto the window, and then I can literally pan the lens around according to where the owl is moving. So it is a bit of a stab in the dark. I don't really know if they're going to be out. It's really windy. There's a west-southwesterly blowing in about sort of 28 to 30 miles an hour, so it's quite a cheeky wind, but it is a nice evening. It's got lots of posts around the field. Barn owls are quite, not say lazy feeders, but they do enjoy sitting on a fence post and observing any sort of potential prey moving around. And if they have to catch a vole, if they're quartering around the field, their favourite prey being a field vole, they'll take to a perch and then obviously devour it from there. Or basically take it down to the grass and then devour it from there. So it is a bit of a gamble, but it's a good evening. There's potential for anything to turn up. So fox, roe deer, badger, maybe a bit early maybe for badger, but certainly for an opportunistic fox coming out early and roe deer coming in. I mean, this place is absolutely quiet from literally 6 o'clock onwards, so it's absolutely golden, really. Yeah, and we'll go into my setup with the ergo rest and the tripod head as well, and get the 600 mounted with my Canon 1DX, quite a high frame rate camera, so I need that just to capture any fast moving subjects. But the owl itself is a relatively slow quartering bird, really, so it's quite fairly easy to track, but you just need that high frame rate to see if you can get any successful shots. I mean, 12 frames a second, you probably pick up about 2 or 3 out of there that are actually pin sharp, so or maybe none, but we'll see. So as I said before, I'm out hoping to get some pictures of some barn owls this evening. I've got a 600 here, and I got my 1DX, hefty old bit of glass, this. Not really sort of thing you can handhold that easily, really, and get good sharp shots, really. I mean, you're kind of looking for the shutter speed for a lens like a 600 to be double that, so 1200th of a second, 1000th of a second possibly. You know, just to take away any of those vibrations. It's particularly windy tonight, so obviously any sort of lens barrel movement should be kept to a minimum as possible, really, so I can get some pretty accurate and sharp shots. But as I said before, I'll be mounting it onto my ergo rest, which is a relatively cheap item, really. They're only about sort of 40 quid. It literally clamps onto the lower part of the glass on your window, and then a little prong then sits in just above where your door handle is, and it just literally stays there. You can't have the glass too high because it does wobble around a bit, and this thing weighs a lot, and this isn't exactly light. So you know, it's one of those that you've just got to you know, go with what you've got, really. I mean, if I did it handheld on a beanbag, yes, it'd probably be alright, but the freedom of movement once you've got this on, it is pretty good. And in the next take, I'll just go through the setup on the window. For the evening, still probably an hour or so, maybe longer to go before the barn owl will hopefully pop out to feed and hunt. So I was going to show you about the ergo rest, but to be honest, you can't swing a cat in here. It's an absolute nightmare. So I've forgone that, and I'll probably have to show you that in another time in another video. But now comfortably set up, got the, although it is a bit wobbly, granted, but it does a pretty good job. So I've got the sun right in my face. The sun's going to swing around, come across the field here. It's going to be lovely evening light, I hope. Wind's right in my face as well, so right on the front of the Landy windscreen. It's moving around a little bit, but actually it's quite comfortable, apart from I'm sitting on a seatbelt buckle, which isn't so good, but I think I'll grin and bear it. And I'm hoping that, you know, I will get some decent shots, but, you know, at the end of the day, just to see the barn owl out here quartering around is reward enough, really. Although getting a nice few shots would be great. So it's quite restrictive, really, at the minute. That's as far as I can turn my lens barrel. Go that way a bit, but it's a bit tight because the cam net gets in the way. So you can pan up and down. It's pretty good. But as far as sort of my angle of coverage here, it doesn't really give me a great deal. I'm just hoping that the barn owl then comes across me. In fact, a buzzer's just coming in and landed on a telegraph pole, oblivious to my presence, which is quite good. Although it's not in a good position because I'll be shooting straight into the light, so it'll be really badly silhouetted. But anyway, let's hope I'll have some rewards later. Well, folks, it's been about an hour now since I set up. All pretty quiet, to be honest. There's an adult buzzard that keeps coming in and flying on top of a telegraph pole and then going off again and back. It seems to tolerate me. I don't think it knows actually I'm in here, because generally birds of prey are pretty clever, and if they see me come in and get in the Land Rover, like the corvid family, crow family, are quite intelligent, so they can sort of count. So I don't think it saw me arrive. So I got here, set up, and it's just come in, and it just obviously thinks I'm a parked up vehicle. So and I got the cam net on the front, so it can't really see. So happy days. So at least he's quite happy. I mean, I'm generally closer than they allow, so I think he's quite comfortable. And these are great hides vehicles. As soon as you get out, game over. So I've had a bit of dinner. I've had my boy's leftover pasty from his packed lunch yesterday, a ham roll, bag of crisps, and some fruit. I got a cup of tea left, but the light's beginning to drop a bit now, so I'm hoping to see a bit more soon. Ideal conditions, but you know, that's according to me, not according to the wildlife, but it looks pretty good. As I said before, I've got my Canon 1DX with a 600mm image stabilization lens on the end there, and I set mine up in manual with auto ISO set. So at the moment, because the magnification of the lens is 600, you generally need to double that in shutter speed, so a 1200th of a second, or if not 1000, possibly get away with that. So I'm shooting at 1600th of a second at F4, so it's wide open, that's its maximum aperture of F4, and I'm shooting at ISO 160, so it's still quite low. And the great thing about this camera body here, it shoots particularly well in low light, so as the light fades I can sort of get away with it. And what I'm kind of after tonight really is because there's a lot of thistle and there's a lot of dead grass and there's like a nice sort of orangey tinge to it, with the light especially going through it, side lighting. I'm hoping to sort of get maybe a barn owl or a bird or a deer in its environment really, rather than an up close facial shot. You know, it's all a bit too boring really when you just see a picture of a bird in your face. You know, you kind of want it in a, you know, doing something, some behaviour really, interaction with other birds or whatnot, but something just to show you something a bit different. I'm constantly scanning around, so I do have to apologise. It's just I don't want to miss anything coming past, but yeah, it's certainly a great evening to be here. Our buzzard's gone again. I don't know where he keeps going. Every time I look up he's gone. Checking the post out, there's nothing there. But now if you kind of like what you see my YouTube videos,
granted, it's not you know, your natural history unit, but you know, it's certainly just you know, me as an amateur wildlife photographer doing my thing, really, and I get great enjoyment out of it. You know, I occasionally get some good images, and you know, there's a lot of very good wildlife photographers out there, but you know, it's all fun and enjoyment, and when it stops becoming fun and enjoyable, then you know, it's time to give it up. But just being out in nature, enjoying it, I never know what's going to turn up. So if you like what you see, things will only improve. At the end of this clip, if you could subscribe, that would be great, and then I can keep on doing the videos. And if you've got any feedback, good or bad, you know, please, you know, let me know. Certainly up for some advice. I'd like to get out on the ground a bit more, get a better video camera so I can sort of be out on the ground looking for what I'm trying to take pictures of, but hopefully that will come in due course. But yeah, thanks. Hopefully report back later.
So that pretty much concludes this evening's barn owl photography. The only thing missing was a barn owl, but it's been a great evening nevertheless. I'm just sitting here drinking a brew, just hanging on really to see if it does pop out before it literally does get dark. Our barn owls in Cornwall tend to come out when it's pretty much just about to go completely dark, or very close to it. Up country, I know that they come out quite a lot earlier, sometimes sort of 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and most of the time sort of 5-6 o'clock, maybe, obviously different for different areas, but down in Cornwall, yeah, they come out pretty late. So that's why I've never really had a great deal of good shots with barn owls, but keep persevering, can't win them every time, and just enjoy my brew and enjoy the view. Thanks for watching.